I'm Gabriella Hoffman, media strategist, award-winning outdoor writer, podcaster and host of District of Conservation, and a newly minted successful deer hunter. You may have seen me post on social media about my recent trip to Hewlett, Wyoming, which is situated in the Black Hills region of the state. It couldn't have been a more perfect backdrop to a monumental hunt, reaching this milestone in my young hunting career. Before I show you a little behind the scenes look into my trip to Wyoming, I have to first preface it and first introduce you guys to our gracious host, Mike Schmid, who owns Solitude Ranch in the backdrop of Devil's Tower National Monument, which is the first national monument to be designated in the country. So that was really cool. That was such a great, beautiful backdrop. Hearing turkeys gobble, seeing whitetail and mule deer graze and roam was such a refreshing change of scenery compared to the urban setting I'm typically used to here in Virginia. But Mike Schmid is a Wyoming game commissioner. He serves in District 3, which is just south of Jackson and below Yellowstone National Park. And what better way to pay tribute to the host who opened his ranch to myself and the other participants that weekend in early November, then letting him explain the beauty behind his property. Here's Mike in his own words about the purpose and meaning behind Solitude Ranch.
The symbolism of the ranch, you know, the Lakota Sioux were the Native American tribe here. We all know the story of them and the Black Hills and what it meant to them. And I understand that now. I understand because I think I feel the same way in a lot of ways. So my wife named the ranch the Solitude because it was at the end of the road. There's nothing up behind us here except the ranch in the Black Hills National Forest. It was very quiet, peaceful out here. And, you know, it was just a dream that was fulfilled, and we called it the Solitude, and we've got a beautiful archway out there, and as a tribute to the Lakota Sioux, we tried to find a name. The word solitude in their language, and that's the reason we have the Nikanala sign over above the archway coming into the ranch. Nephi, I've known Rourke. I've hunted with Rourke Denver a couple of times in the past, and then I met Nephi last spring. He was with Rourke, and they come up on a spring turkey hunt. And I was telling the guys at the time that, you know, in the fall of the year, as part of my management program here for deer, that I usually do a pretty good doe harvest to try to keep the numbers of deer in check. And if they were ever interested in doing something like that, then, you know, I'd welcome them back to do that. Well, Nephi took it serious. He called me a few months later and started talking about this veterans hunt and, you know, the folks that he wanted to bring out here to maybe enjoy that and experience that kind of a hunt, and I readily agreed to that. So we started putting the plans together to make this happen. And here we are a few months later, and we've got a great bunch of veterans here, and people that are very interesting to listen to and talk to about their past and the things that they've done for this country. And I don't know, Pam and I just feel like it's the least we could do for people like that have done so much for us.
I'm going to show you an inside look into the emotions behind taking the shot and paying tribute to the white-tailed doe that I harvested were really raw, and I was really sincere with trying to pay tribute. Hi everyone, I am in the Black Hills of Wyoming and I have some great news to share with you. You can first see Devil's Tower behind me, but I want to introduce you guys to my first ever deer harvest. I'm so excited. It's a white-tailed doe, and I'm going to talk more about it very soon, but very grateful to have been able to harvest it, very appreciative of it, and can't wait to share more about this wonderful hunt with you all. Now, some of you watching this video may not support hunting. You may think it's this obscene practice, and you may disapprove of the tool that I use to harvest my white-tailed doe. I used an AR-15 platform, or AR platform, I should argue. The platform looks pretty scary on the surface, but when you get to know the mechanics, you'll know that this is actually a really commonly used firearm for hunting and also for home defense. It's semi-automatic in nature, meaning with one pull of the trigger, comes out a bullet. It's not automatic in nature. The AR and AR platform stands for Armalite rifle. It's not assault rifle. So that's a misnomer. That's a failure to understand the fire nomenclature. And some people took offense to my using an AR platform to harvest my deer. And it's perfectly legal to do it in the state of Wyoming. So I was within my legal rights to do it. There are different ways for which you can hunt. I have hunted shotguns before. That's what you typically use in upland and waterfowl. You can hunt muzzleloader. I've done that once before. People prefer to do bow archery. And yes, even people use AR platforms. I've used an AR type platform when I hunted wild hog in Georgia. It's not some scary, scarcely used firearm in hunting. It's actually a widely used firearm in hunting. That's a little caveat you guys ought to know. I was doing my efforts to help cull numbers. I wasn't posting pictures or video in disrespect. I think people ought to see through video visuals like this what goes into hunting beyond the kill shot and also beyond the trophy shot or the grip and grin shot. But those are okay to have. Some people have preferences. They prefer not to post those shots in the moment. I think you can post everything that's all encompassing as long as you're respectful. You're not showing kind of grotesque or obscene behind the scenes look into your harvest. But I think I did a pretty good job of being respectful and showing the animal that I harvested, paying them that respect, paying the doe with respect, I should say. To prevent anyone getting grossed out with the next step after you harvest your deer, you're gonna do field dressing and then subsequently you're gonna do processing. I took the liberty of not filming the field dressing portion of the hunt. For one, I was completely engrossed in the process. My hands were bloody. I didn't want to get my equipment dirty, and the other people in my hunting party also were preoccupied. So I don't want to weird you out. I don't want this video to get banned because that could be misconstrued, but take my word for it that I did field dress my animal, and we're going to hop on over to the next step, which is processing. I had help from David Wilm, who hosts the Your Mountain podcast, and he also works with the National Wildlife Federation, and he is a friend of the organizer of this event, Nephi Cole, who brought me out to come hunt and profile and cover this event with other individuals, some really renowned veterans. And David taught me how to do processing. We spent about 4 or 5 hours getting into the process. It was snowing, it was a lovely backdrop, and for purposes of time constraints, David assisted me and pointed me to how to process tenderloin, how to process different various cuts, backstrap, things of that sort. And again, I didn't film that portion, but you can trust me that we did that. But I did film, however, the processing portion when it came to grinding the portions of venison that will be used for burger and other things. So here's a little behind the scenes look into that.
So you want this when you start, the tube is here. I like to have the tube touch the bottom of the bag. And then I put a seal around it like this. So when the meat starts coming out, it's actually just gonna, you keep your finger on, it's just gonna fill up and push your finger, right? It's just gonna, the tube's gonna come down, so. Gives it a nice seal.
Nice. But I wanted to show things beyond the kill shot, beyond the trophy shot, and introduce you to the landowners that welcome people in private land settings to come hunting. What goes into processing? It's not just your grip and grin. You're also tasked with preparing and processing your meat to take home. And taking my meat home was an interesting ordeal. I had to go buy a cooler. We had to freeze it the night before, but for 7